St. Louis deciding who should run St. Louis public schools will be about more than just deciding whether its school board members should be elected or appointed. St. Louis leaders also have to decide what is the role of a school board. What makes a school board effective? Who should decide how a school district is run? Does it matter how school board members are chosen? Since the state revoked the district's accreditation in 2007, the district has been run by a 3-member, appointed special administrative board. On Monday, the SAB's Transition Task Force will convene the first of 3 public forums to decide which type of board St. Louis should have, elected, appointed or a combination. Any board other than an elected one would require a change to state law. Some experts try not to overemphasize the importance of how a board is chosen. They say what really matters in the end is who the members are and how well they work together. There's no surefire way to ensure success, said Robert Rader, executive director of the Association of Boards of Education in Connecticut, a state that has all 3 kinds of school boards. It depends on the people who are put on the board, how long their terms are, and if they can gel around certain goals such as student achievement. Elected boards. The elected school board has been the default form of school district governance in the U.S. for the past several decades. A 2010 National School Boards Association survey of school board members found that 95% of respondents were elected to office. Residents like elected boards because it makes them feel like they have a voice in how their district is run. If the community feels that they need the voices, that they need to slow down and listen to the voices, then having a mixture of some elected board members would be appropriate, said Kenneth Wong, a Brown University researcher who studies school board governance. In St. Louis, those who have voiced support for an elected school board tend to be stakeholders on the ground level, the elected board members themselves, plus parents and teachers, including the teachers' union for the district. While the district's top leaders and state school officials celebrated the district's re-accreditation in January, others noted the district still suffers from high teacher turnover, a majority of students still fail state tests, and students continue to leave the district. The main thing that's good about an elected board is they come from the community, and they really are the stakeholders here, said Sally Topping, president of the American Federation of Teachers Local 420 in St. Louis. We don't have any parents on the board now. And it really shows. But it can be difficult for elected members to work together and get over their differences, Wong said. It was partly the dysfunction and infighting of St. Louis's elected school board 10 years ago that mandated a state takeover. Appointed boards. The practice of installing appointed boards in failing districts gained traction in the 1990s, Wong said. School board members tend to be appointed in large, urban districts. The 2010 NSBA survey found that 10% of respondents in large districts were appointed, compared to about 1% in small districts. Chicago, New York, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and Cleveland all have appointed school boards. Nationwide, appointed boards are either selected entirely by the mayor or by a combination of the mayor, governor or local elected officials. Here, the governor, St. Louis's mayor and president of the Board of Aldermen each appoint a member to the SAB. The number of people on an appointed board ranges from 3 in St. Louis to 6 in Chicago and 14 in New York. Wong found that appointed boards improve academic performance and district management. Appointed boards have also been better than elected boards at tackling system-wide priorities such as achievement gaps or graduation rates. The appointed board is primarily suited if the city really wants to head-on confront tough challenges and if they really want to push for some of the changes faster, Wong said. Having a mayor or governor appoint a school board is meant to ensure that the board has a unified panel who can effectively fix the district, Wong said. School leaders will agree that's been the case for St. Louis public schools. Since the SAB was established, the district has had just one superintendent for more than 9 years, which was virtually unheard of in the years leading up to 2007. The district is no longer millions of dollars in the hole, and the graduation rate has risen. "I don't think there's any perfect form of governance," said Mike Jones, who represents St. Louis on the Missouri Board of Education. "I don't think we can argue that one necessarily will implicitly work better than another. But what you do have to say is this app for St. Louis basically got the job done. They performed at an exceptionally high level." While some experts say that low student performance merits intervention in the form of an appointed board, elected board president Susan Jones said it's unfair to install appointed boards almost exclusively in districts with mostly minority and poor students. She said appointed boards imply that the community is incapable of running its own district and that districts with mostly poor and black kids, in St. Louis's case, need to be told what to do. "You don't see that in predominantly Caucasian districts," Jones said. Hybrid boards. School boards that contain both appointed and elected members are the newest form of school governance. Few of these exist, and some of those that do were established only in the past decade. Connecticut and Maryland have a few hybrid school boards, some of which include a student representative. In both states, it was primarily local residents, not the state school board or legislature, who voted in elections to change the district's governance. The point of a hybrid board is to combine the strengths of elected and appointed boards while diminishing their weaknesses. Ideally, a hybrid board would combine community representation with appointed experts while preventing the mayor or state school authorities from having too much power. But Wong said hybrid boards may not actually combine the best of both worlds. If a hybrid board has a majority of elected members, it will basically end up acting like an elected board. The reverse is true if a majority of the hybrid board members are appointees. Stakeholders in Maryland adopted hybrid boards as a compromise to appease parties who wanted an appointed board and those who wanted an elected one, said Stephen Bounds, Director of Legal and Policy Services for Maryland Association of Boards of Education. But some have noted a potential inherent downside in the hybrid model, Bounds said. "Other people think that you're kind of creating two different classes of board members, and it's going to be difficult to get along," he said. "There aren't any magical solutions.